How to close more deals with strategic video content.
Let's get into it.
Video Mavericks, the small business video marketing podcast. Presented by Workshop Media. With your hosts, Brett and Jeff, sharing a combined 40 years of video production and marketing experience. Take it away.
All right, so imagine using video to speed up the sales process, right? Imagine using that strategically to kind of help your process and the things that you say in closing those deals and setting appointments all from cold to sold, right? That whole journey.
Yep.
Imagine using video in there somewhere to maybe cut it in half, cut that whole process in half.
Yep. So today we're going a little bit beyond the awareness piece, which we talk about a lot on this show. We're going to go more on the closing the deal, the end of the process, getting down to brass tacks,
as they say,
and helping to convert high value clients using video. So getting some of your time back and being more efficient with video assets.
Cool. So what is strategic video content?
It is video that is created with specific goals to move prospects closer to purchasing. So this is not just generating views. It's not general awareness.
Yep.
These
are assets.
This is purpose-built assets.
Yep.
In this particular case, when we say strategic video content, we're talking about it in terms of closing deals. These are assets that are purpose-built to move someone to action. And this can look different if you are, a mom and pop sort of main street shop, or if you're a business that has 10 clients a year. That's obviously going to look very different. The assets that you need look different.
Yep.
But in this case, what is universal is that we're talking about things that are purpose-built to move people to a specific action of making a purchase.
Yep. So the one common thread, whether it's mom and pop shop, 10 clients a year, or even far greater than that, right? You're doing multiple millions a year.
Yep.
These assets are still important, and they're a great help in your sales process. It could be customer testimonials and case studies that might help validate what you're sort of preaching and selling to your potential customer.
Yep.
It could be just quick personal notes, that where you say like a video note, like that you say their name in that video and give them, instead of sending them this long email, you send them the email and then also send them this personalized video. Could be FAQs or handling objections. I mean, any of these kind of assets are crucial as it pertains to selling to your target customer.
I could say I've received some of those personalized videos before, and it definitely made me click, watch, listen, and ultimately respond. When you get a lot of content on a regular basis, somebody that took the time, even if it was only a couple of minutes, to record something.
Hey there, Brett. I just wanted to let you know real quick, yada, yada, yada.
That's exactly what it was. And I went, oh, wow. I mean, and I don't think it's just because I do video for a living. I think it's, you feel
a little bit more connected.
Hey, well, they took the time. I at least owe them the time back in some degree to say, hey, thank you for that.
So imagine just mass sending out blanket emails trying to generate sales. There's no personalization. There's no connectedness to it. You're just kind of going, I mean, often you see the typos, or you see that they didn't replace the name and it was sent to whatever, John Doe, and it's supposed to go to Jane Doe or whatever it is, right? You're going to use video as an asset to cut through that noise.
Yep.
And then you make the video look good, and you got some fun stuff. You leave them with a little joke or something. I mean, you have a much better chance at closing a deal or helping that process along with strategic video.
Yeah. So those are great reasons why this stuff works. It's actually getting us to the point of trust a lot quicker. We're seeing and hearing someone saying the very same thing they might do in text.
Yep.
But they're doing it via video, and so there's just a inherently a little bit more trust building when you get to see and hear from someone, particularly when it is catered to you as a viewer.
And we're not saying replace the process by any means. We're saying supplement it, help it along, help your case, make your sales process smoother.
Yeah,
make your job easier.
Yep,
help your target customer out by sending a follow up. With you had mentioned some of these. You had some of these objections. You had mentioned some of these things that you thought maybe the product or service wasn't a good fit. Well, we just wanted to send you this. Here's some frequently asked questions that, kind of solve this.
Or sending a piece of content before you have the call
Ooh, that's a
addresses
good one.
that addresses things that you've heard 1,000 times. You know that they're gonna have questions or concerns about A, B, and C. And
That's
you send
a bit of you're pre-selling them before even getting
send
in there.
a piece of content that is respecting their time, it is respecting their position, and it is ultimately priming them for a conversation where they come in and you're not saying something to them for the first time.
Yep, you're both kind of starting halfway through the race already. You can get straight to it. Right?
Yeah, that goes right back to at the top of the show when you said we were talking about, you might be able to cut your sales process in half. If you send a piece of content and it's compelling and it's interesting, they're more likely to watch it. You could say it in an email, but if you send an email and it's 1,500 words, man.
And 100 people also did that today as well.
Yeah. So, you can prime a conversation in a creative way.
Yep. And they also get to, if you're in it, let's assume it's some sort of direct to camera kind of thing, they get to see you.
Yeah.
And they'll already have kind of felt like they know you. But when you meet them at a coffee shop, at their office, in a virtual call, that voice has already been introduced.
Yeah.
Cutting right to, let's get to it. Let's talk about how we can, close this. Let's talk about how we can solve your problems. So, cool. So how do you implement it? I mean, I think we're kind of talking about it a little bit here, but is there any other way that we, that we can?
Yeah. I mean, one of the most obvious things with videos that we're showing, not just telling folks things, maybe that doesn't apply if we're talking about a direct appeal. It's a, business owner speaking to their person prior to a phone call. But if there's anything that you can demonstrate for someone that you can show them rather than having to explain it to them, that's a great opportunity to improve the sales process.
Yep. The first thing that comes to mind is like a product demo or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like what this would be, where you might get to see the person, but then also have a walkthrough of something. So I could talk you through it, but you also can follow along. The visual, I think, is extremely important in this case. Right.
I mean, you see videos sometimes on websites, particularly e-commerce websites, where it's just the product being handled. So imagine like a handbag, for example. You could see a picture of a handbag, but then seeing someone move it around, you get nuance.
I mean, imagine too, ASMR is a huge deal today, right? Imagine hearing the zippers or the snaps. Like that stuff might just help. Then you get into a call, you get into a meeting, and you have that. They already kind of have the feel. They already kind of know about the product, about what we're after.
Yeah, absolutely. Or let's say maybe this is. I think it still applies to sales. I'm thinking about how we use content to benchmark phases of engagements with us. So if we're creating content, the client will get a what to expect in pre-production.
Yeah,
what to expect. Video. They get an explainer at phases. Content like that, what to expect when you're working with us. Kind of, it's one step beyond what do we do, but it's what are you actually going to get with the thing that we are now talking about in the sales process?
Yep. So what value, I mean, if you think about the value, like what value is that adding to them? It's clarity, it's peace of mind, it's insight, it's, all of these things that the idea here for this episode is to help you close those deals, using video to close those, right? So that's what you're doing here. You're trying to kind of
take away questions more,
and just make it that much easier. That way, we know that the deal is signed, the money is spent, insert buyer's remorse, right? So the more introduction, the assets you could do in introduction you have, the better off you're going to be. The more comfortable they feel with you, the you know what I'm saying? The better chance you have. So you might be the greatest salesperson that's out there, right? But having the assets is just going to make it that much easier. Maybe you can close more deals now because you have these additional assets that kind of help put your potential customer at ease and help kind of keep them comfy along the way, right?
What to expect when you're working with us piece of content sort of serves the same purpose as a product video if you offer a service. So if you're a service-based company, you don't have a product to show, to manipulate. And so sending a product video for the handbag and sending a what to expect when you're working with us, they kind of serve the same purpose. They're both product videos, so to speak. But But yeah, it's just it's providing some clarity and easing concerns that maybe no one, they didn't know they needed to be concerned, but you've already solved it for them before they even had the opportunity to ask the question to begin with.
Right.
So, and there's countless ways that you can insert video. Think about every single step in your process where you're having an interaction with a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time that you interact with a customer is a potential to insert a piece of video content.
Yep. And short and sweet. We're not talking, this is just to make it that much easier. We talk about storytelling all the time. Imagine kind of having some storytelling assets that will help support your sales process.
Yep.
What a great contrast. If we're talking sales and whatever your process is to get the deal done, imagine having something that's a little soft, a little subtle.
Right.
That might support that.
Right.
And sometimes I think about in this conversation, I'm thinking a lot more about virtual for some reason. I'm having a virtual meeting, and this is just the world of post-COVID, but I'm thinking of, having a call with two people or more in separate places. So how could video, you can present, and then how could video also be a benefit after the fact? You just record the Zoom or the Google Meet or whatever the, Teams, record that and have that as here's our call as a follow-up. I mean, that in itself is done for you. All you have to do is send the email.
Yeah.
That's value added to the person that had to be introduced to you.
Right.
Maybe they, are socially awkward. So there's going to be a kind of a bit of a fog in the understanding of the information you're delivering. I mean, there could be countless challenges that you face. Just sending a recording of the meeting is value add in itself.
Right.
Not to mention the presentation assets you have and any other kind of, content you're sharing with them. So there's a great number of ways that video could help you close some deals,
Absolutely.
Anything else that I think, that we think might be value add?
I think it's it can be a little bit tough to kind of get into the specifics with these as with any of the conversations we have, because we're not applying it to a specific industry, to a specific business.
We want as many business owners and business leaders to take away.
To think about these things as they would apply to the world that you operate in. But I think if you really consider every touch point with your customer or your potential customer or the person you're courting through the sales process, however you define it, think about every single touch point and could it be improved with a piece of content? Could you free up your time, free up their time, provide clarity? If at any point, if there's a question that's been asked, there's an opportunity to solve that for them asynchronously, so that you don't have to be sitting in front of them. So that when you do get the opportunity to sit in front of them, you can hyper focus on the sales process and on connecting with that person. So that's really, I think, the takeaway that I want folks to have is think about your process, think about what you offer. How can you remove friction? And how can you do it in a way that saves everybody time and ultimately improves your outcomes? If they're more informed, you're going to either get to yes or no quicker.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of what this is. So
something we haven't added into this, because it's kind of a growing, this podcast is kind of an evolving. Each episode evolves and kind of takes some of up previous episodes. And something we haven't talked about in this episode is the power of video. Yeah. And so why am I using video as a salesperson? Why am I using video as an asset that can help me close the deal sooner, easier, remove friction from the process? It's because video is powerful. Right? In itself, the power of video is music, graphics, pacing, juxtaposition of different shots and different, choices that you make to make the audience feel a certain way, which might be to do a thing, spend some money, whatever, right? So
it's also how people want to consume their content today. I mean, there's almost limitless data that supports that video is the thing that everyone is consuming and wants to continue to consume. And so it's kind of meeting a moment that's already existing without you.
Yeah. I could talk to you right now with no sound and have you just focus on me talking to you. Or I could introduce a bunch of beautiful footage that makes you feel a way. I could bring in some piano. I could put graphics on top of it, and I can now create an energy, an environment that you can consume and be entertained and be educated, right? It's a wonderful, powerful tool, a supplement to your process.
You also get an opportunity with video to take away a little bit of the, and this is, I don't want it to come across as a bad thing, but you're taking away a little bit of the imagination in the storytelling, because you are crafting the story as you want your viewer to see it, hear it, and ultimately consume the idea that you're putting out there. When you tell a story, or when you write a story, the person that's reading or listening to it, they're having to create their own color. They're having to create their own scenes. They're creating their own pacing. They're creating their own energy. They're giving a voice to you if they're reading it, and they don't know what you sound like. And so we're talking about human connection, and the aside from standing in front of another person and experiencing a thing together with them, video is the closest thing you're going to get. And in many ways, you can now craft their perception.
The perfect experience.
You can craft their perception of a thing in the way that specifically the way that you want it to go. And so, that it is controlling the narrative. I don't want that to sound like, ooh, you're controlling people, but you're creating an environment.
You're presenting the best. You're presenting the best case, right? And a lot of salespeople already kind of have that journey mapped out, and they have objections handled, and they have this and that. This is just adding another tool to the kit.
That's exactly right.
That's all it is. You're not spinning the narrative. You're just controlling how it is presented to make your customer.
It's my conversation. I want it to go the way I want it to go.
I want to help you out while we're talking, and that's kind of it. So, using video is, there's a great chance of increasing your success rate of closing more deals for your business. So.
And the last thing I'll mention there is for anyone who may have. It may get nervous in the live environment speaking with people. It sure is nice to be able to create the content and sit with it for a minute and make sure it's exactly what you want it to be before you send it out to folks.
Also some breathing room, right?
It's a best foot forward type of opportunity for you. So in the sales process, you can craft the perfect sales tool where you're not caught on your heels in a moment.
Yeah. In the event that you're not so good at sales.
In the event that you're not so good at it. I mean, small business owners wearing a ton of hats. There's a chance that sales, it's necessary, but there's a chance it's not something you want to do.
Yeah. Right.
So it
has to be done though.
Can you remove friction for yourself?
There's some breathing room in there too, where you go like, let's just take a moment. Hey, watch this piece. It's going to be, it's going to be much better than what I can talk to you about right now because, we poured a lot of time and energy into it, and I would think you'll like it. So let's push play. Yeah. What'd you think? And then you can kind of like use that energy. How many times do we make a piece of content for a live event and they kick it off? It's like that sort of locker room rally cry, and it gets them hyped to do a better job presenting to a crowd of 1,000 people or whatever. So, we're just throwing all kinds of stuff here and hoping it all sticks for you. But I think we nailed it. I think you should start utilizing video in any way you can to help close more deals for your business. Yeah.
So if you're struggling, think about your customer and think about how you can help to remove friction for them,
increase clarity,
and ultimately just make the sales process smoother for both of you.
Cool. So do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you're consuming this content on YouTube. We're also available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We release episodes weekly, and our whole goal here is to educate and inspire you as a small business owner or a business leader to grow and scale your operations using video marketing.
See ya.